Cavs are reportedly open to moving Darius Garland, more open than they ever have been before. What does that mean for the offseason for the Cleveland Cavaliers? We're going to discuss a little bit about that. Plus, teams want certain assurances if they trade for Kevin Durant this offseason. We're going to talk about what that is. And we now know what the Dallas Mavericks response is going to be to the New York Knicks looking to interview Jason Kidd. We're getting into all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host, Derek Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And this one comes from Brian Windhorst in regards to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was asked about the Cavs being active in trade discussions this offseason, and Windhorst did say that he believes that the Cavs have already been active in trade talks, saying that the Cavs have been listening to offers for point guard Darius Garland and are open-minded about trading him. He stressed that Garland doesn't want to go anywhere and is happy with his role in Cleveland. He added that the Cavs are listening without actively shopping Garland around the league. This is what a lot of people, I disagree, right? I personally do not think that the Cleveland Cavaliers should make a knee-jerk reaction to what happened this offseason, this postseason, and look to break up their roster, right? I think you just locked in everyone there. I think you can make some key acquisitions to kind of make things a little bit better. And that's what I think that the Cavs should do, is that they should look to kind of structure the team around what they have a little bit better. They had an amazing regular season. And while, many people have called them frauds after the end of the season, I do think that especially with the Boston Celtics not going to be at 100% next year, on top of them going through a major overhaul, we don't know what's going to happen with Giannis Antetokounmpo and him potentially leaving, even though the Milwaukee Bucks weren't like this huge, amazing team during the regular season. I don't think that this is the place right now that where the Cavs should be look to make a drastic change with their roster. Now, being open to listen to deals is different, right? I think that it's a key difference in the language that they're not shopping him, but they're listening to offers. And listening to offers could more so just be gauging like, okay, yeah, we'll listen to you if you call us. That doesn't mean that they're not meeting those calls with, yeah, no, we're good. They could very well be doing that, but you just never know what's out there. And if a team does have a desperate offer that you look at and you say, we cannot pass up on this offer, then you're in a position to take it. If not, you keep your team the way that it is. I have my questions and my reservations about Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland backcourt. Just do, right? It is what it is, right? I think overall is that the Cavs do probably need to make some changes. And like I said, I think those can be minor. I think using their mid-level exception, bringing in another key veteran talent, those type of things are there. But, I don't know if the Cavs need to make the big move right now. Again, I could be completely off and wrong on that. For all I know, it could end up working out the best for the Cavs to make a move. And, and Windhorst isn't the only one to think that. There's a lot of people. It felt like maybe I'm the one on the outskirts there that think that the Cavs should keep this thing relatively the same and just attack it. They didn't have health in the offseason, right? That was a big thing as far as them not having their roster fully healthy. And so I think you want to give it another go. And the summer of 26, most of your core is locked in. So your summer of 26, if you need to make a pivot, or there are a lot more teams that have a lot of cap space, that's probably your opportunity to do that in. But, like I said, you can do some precursory deals right now, some conversations, kind of know what that market is like. That way, if you do decide to pivot and you decide to make your players available and actively shop them, you kind of already know what the market has told you of kind of what they're worth. And so it's of two minds. It's really depending on how you look at their regular season versus what they did in the postseason. And depending on where you will come between those two things, you can lean more heavily towards them needing to make a big-time move, or lean more towards, hey, let's just keep this the same for now, and we'll see what next season holds, because next season could very well be where things break in your favor, whereas this postseason, they didn't break in your favor. You had all the injuries, all the type of things. Even when your players, your roster was fully healthy, you had everybody available, they were still dealing with some pretty serious nagging injuries there. So it's those type of things that you need to look at. I think they need to just chill when it comes down to it. I don't think that they're in such a bad place as far as salary cap wise, to where right now you need to be making this decision for financial reasons, right? So it's everything kind of points towards the Cavs are going to be in a good position whether they wait or not, right? They are above the second tax apron, so there is that. And, we've seen before teams, when they're above the second tax apron, they look to make some moves. But, if you're willing to pay that second tax apron for an additional year, you got Evan Mobley's locked in into 2029, 2030. Donovan Mitchell's locked in. He's not a restricted free agent until the summer of 28. Darius Garland's locked into that same year as well. Jared Allen's locked into 28, 29 also. So most your main core, it's not like they're free agents at the end of the season. Even DeAndre Hunter, not a free agent at the end of the season. Max Strus locked into the end of the 27 summer. So you got some time in here. Isaac Okuru's another one. Dean Wade is a free agent at the end of this upcoming season. So maybe you got some questions to make there. But I think because of the place that you're at, unless the financials are the main motivator of why, I think the Cavaliers are in a perfect position. Just wait it out, see what's going to happen, have more flexibility in the summer of 26, and then see what you're going to do at that time. But, hey, let me know what you guys think down below. Enough of me yapping on it. Do you think the Cleveland Cavaliers should look to move a major piece this summer? Who should it be? Should it be Darius Garland? Should it be Donovan Mitchell? Should it be Jared Allen? Who do you think the Cavs should look to move? And if they do decide to make a change with the roster, let me know that down below. Now, one of the players as well that has been talked a lot about potentially being on the move is Kevin Durant. And so that it makes some sense for the Suns. It was really strange to me when the Suns talked about potentially keeping him, but it seems like by all intents and purposes, Kevin Durant is going to be moved. If not by the draft, then shortly into free agency that he's probably going to move. Now, the question for that comes down to as well is what's going to happen? Well, Jake Fisher of the Stein line said this. It's not uncommon 2 years of change later to hear that some potential suitors are willing to make a trade pitches for Durant with no assurances then the 36-year-old stays beyond the 25-26 season. The risk of approaching it as a one-year rental as Durant enters the final season of his current contract at $54.7 million is theoretically offset by the time that the trade outlay required to get him would be much less daunting than it was for the Suns. So it seems like right now that there are teams that are willing to trade for Kevin Durant without signing or without making sure he's going to re-sign there. Now, his age definitely plays a factor into that. You're going to be looking at a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. At the most, you're probably looking at what? Maybe a 2-year extension for him if it comes down to that. Maybe a 2-year extension. So because of all those things that, I could see a team looking at it as a 1-year rental. It's not like with veteran extensions, you can wait till after the trade deadline. Hell, you can wait till a week before the season ends to come to a contract extension with Kevin Durant. So you have the opportunity where you don't have to trade for him and immediately sign him to an extension for it to make some sense for the future of your squad, right? You can sign him to an extension. You can make your trade for him and then just wait to see how it goes during the season. And with Kevin Durant as well, like where he is at this point in his career, you think that he is going to want some stability. And depending on a team that trades for him, if it's a team with a young core that like Kevin Durant, as he ages, other players are going to step up. That's why I do like Houston for Kevin Durant a lot, because hopefully by the time Kevin Durant, if he gets signed to 1 or 2 year extension after this year deal, hopefully by then Amen Thompson is ready to go. That's your star level player. And if Kevin Durant rides off to the sunset, so be it. But people who always talk about Kevin Durant's age and acts like he's still not a very productive player in the NBA, it's like, yeah, we're seeing players now play well into their late 30s and still be productive players. So again, you have to ask yourself if you think that if Kevin Durant is going to continue to be able to be that productive. If you have doubts on that, okay. But even at 36 years old, he was 6th in the NBA in scoring last year. 6th. And still shot the ball over 52% from the field. So when people say things like, oh my God, Kevin Durant's so old. Yeah, but he's still busting your favorite player more times than not. And if you get him on a good team, you believe in that. Now, the question of how many games is he going to play, that's a big question there, right? The injury thing is a huge question. And you can't deny that. Right, I think he's played over 70 games once in like the last 6 years. So there's some questions there. Make no mistake about it. And that's why a team trading for Kevin Durant has to make sure they're doing so and they're ready for the calculated risk that it's going to take to get him in there. And that's a story that remains to be seen on how that's going to shake out for Kevin Durant or any other team that trades for him. Toronto, who's been rumored and interested. They're looking to make a big splash, all those type of things that are there. It just depends on your risk tolerance, right? That's a thing that I always go to. My background's in finance, for those that don't know. So always go to risk tolerance, right? It matters what the risk tolerance that you have for a Kevin Durant acquisition. and we'll see. So we'll see what happens. Raptors right now, and this was reported a little while ago, is that Giannis Antetokounmpo is still the Raptors. That's their focus. That's the name that they want. But Kevin Durant is the backup plan because he may cost less, right? It could leave the door open for more. His contract is up at the end of the year, so it does seem like the Raptors do have Kevin Durant out there as somebody who is a backup plan to their main one in Giannis. We don't even know if Giannis is even going to be out on the trade market actually, right? We still don't know how that meeting, what came about that meeting with him and ownership, things like that. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But Kevin Durant, it seems like he's like this. The Suns are going to do their thing to try to get him moved. Will they be successful in that? That's a story for another day. You guys can let us know on that down below. Do you think Kevin Durant is moved before the start of free agency? Is he moved by the draft? Do you think this lingers on potentially into the start of the season? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. Follow up on one of the stories that we had yesterday in regards to Jason Kidd and the Knicks wanting to pursue an interview, and they're going to formally put in a request for an interview with Jason Kidd. Well, it seems like they may not be successful in that if they want to try to get that done. This comes from as well, I believe, Mark Stein on this one that says, Dallas, though, can simply refuse to grant the Knicks permission to speak with Kidd once formally asked, and I've heard from a few well-placed advisors this week who believe the Mavericks would ultimately do just that. Kidd is under contract for 2 more seasons after the Mavericks responded in May 2024 to the Lakers' planned pursuit of Kidd for their coaching vacancy by immediately signing him to an extension after the first round of the playoffs. So, many people ask, why would the Mavericks agree to that? Now, I looked at it and said there's a possibility with the shift of that franchise. Maybe they would be open to it, but it seems like, according to Mark Stein, no. The Mavericks are going to turn down that request. They're going to keep Jason Kidd there, and, that's their right to do so as a team. It's always funny to me because, like, if a coach wants to go someplace, what benefit do you get from holding on to them if they don't want to be there? But I mean, at the end of the day, you signed the contract extension with the Mavericks, which gives the Mavericks the right to hold on to your rights if that's what they decide to do. And that's what it looks like they're deciding to do here. Overall, though, we'll see what happens, man. The Dallas Mavericks are in an interesting place because you move from Luka Doncic, which you were in a spot where you were trying to absolutely contend at that point in time, and now you're going to this place with of course Cooper Flag, but you still got Kyrie under roster. You still got Anthony Edwards there. And so does that mean that you are going to be looking to hold on to them, let them go? Like, what's going to happen there, right? Like, what is the future that's there for you? And that's what the Mavericks are trying to figure out. How close are they going to be able to be like a playoff team right away in the Western Conference, even with the number 1 overall pick in Anthony Edwards? And they still have moves they can do with Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively, things like that. So the Mavericks are an interesting team to watch this offseason because they can go a lot of different ways. But apparently the New York Knicks and Jason Kidd and their pursuit of Jason Kidd is not going to be part of that offseason. Jason Kidd, you can expect him to still be the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks heading into the season. But let me know what you guys feel and think on all that down below. That's my time for today. 3 quick topics today. We will be back later on today with a preview of the NBA Finals, so stay in tune with us for that. But if you guys want to follow us, you can do so at NBA Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number 1 spot for everything basketball related. I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Probably today, actually. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.